You speak about the Albanese government's response. What's your view of Foreign Minister Penny Wong's comment on Saturday evening that there should be restraint?
Well, I think it's regrettable, and I think no doubt she has a similar view. I know in a press conference today she's walked back from that language. This is not the time for restraint, and people who try to draw a parallel or argue equivalence between Israeli activity now in their retaliation for these strikes and the barbaric attacks that we've seen by Hamas, I mean, there is no comparison, and it's appalling. Even some of the reporting here through The Age and otherwise, some of the headlines, I think completely and utterly misrepresent the barbaric activity that's taken place against Israel's citizens, and we should be very clear about that. So I think we should be providing whatever support Israel needs, because this is going to be a long and protracted event. There's no doubt about that, and we need to make it very clear that we stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Israel.
We've seen groups in Lakemba in Sydney celebrating this. What should be the response to this celebration of such hatred, such inhumanity?
Well, again, it should be condemned in the strongest possible terms, and people who are out celebrating the rape, the abduction, the slaughter of women and children. I mean, if people are inciting violence, then obviously the Australian Federal Police will have investigations underway at the moment, and I would lend every support to the government in coming down hard on those elements. It's completely and utterly unacceptable.
There are reports out of the Wall Street Journal that Iranian security officials may have been behind this attack on Israel. Are you concerned about the fact that the United States recently gave Iran $6 billion? Do you think this was inappropriate and that the funding could have been used to fund terrorism?
Well, I think there's a lot of intelligence, obviously, that's missing at the moment, and the agencies from around the world, but obviously starting with Israel, will be trying to picture and put together the picture of exactly what has happened, what's transpired, who's conspired with whom, and all of that will, some of it will be made public, other elements of it will be actionable, and that's the situation that we're in at the moment. I think the priority is to, certainly for the Israeli forces, no doubt, to recover those people wherever they can who have been taken hostage. If there are any survivors, this is a dreadful time for their families and for their loved ones, including here in Australia. I think the other point, of course, Shari, is that the agencies here need to be doing all they can to ramp up the security and the support for Jewish schools, for places of worship, because we know, and you've made reference to some actions here which are completely and utterly intolerable, but there will be those who seek to incite violence against people of the Jewish faith, and that needs to be quashed before it starts. And I hope the AFP and ASIO and others, I'm sure they are, they're a very professional group of men and women, they will be acting to keep people safe in our country as well.
Mr Dutton, I know you've got to go catch a plane. Just finally, the Voice referendum is on this weekend. Polling shows it's on track to not just fail but be crushed. Do you blame the Prime Minister for the model he chose that has divided the country?
Well, Shari, I mean, the Prime Minister wants to believe that he's Bob Hawke. The reality is that he's not Bob Hawke, of course. But Bob Hawke, I can tell you, if he made a mistake like this, he would stand up and take responsibility and apologise. The Prime Minister spent $400 million of taxpayers' money. That money could have been spent on 800 houses in Indigenous communities. He has divided the country. He's pitched family member against family member. He's pitched community against community. And on the weekend, I hope that people do make the effort to get out and vote, because this would be the most detrimental change to our constitution in our nation's history. We live in the best country in the world. We should be prepared to stand up and defend it, to make sure that our institutions are protected. And the proposal to insert a new chapter into the Constitution, deliberately keeping the detail from Australians, is without precedent. It's reckless, and the Prime Minister should take full responsibility for his actions, and he should apologise for it.
Mr. Dutton, thank you very much for your time this evening.